The grand hall of the Galactic Council sparkled with light reflecting off crystalline walls. Commander Jack Harris of the UNSF Dauntless straightened his uniform and took a deep breath. This moment would change human history forever. After centuries of looking up at the stars and wondering, humanity had finally developed faster than light travel and earned their invitation to the interstellar community. "Ready, sir?" Lieutenant Samantha Wells stood beside him, her posture perfect but her eyes betraying her nervousness. "As ready as anyone can be when meeting aliens for the first time," Jack said with a small smile. The massive doors opened, revealing hundreds of beings from across the galaxy. Jack recognized the three dominant species from the briefing files. The Vorani stood tall and slender with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer. Their large eyes blinked rarely, and they moved with careful grace. The Krell were shorter but powerfully built, their scaled skin ranging from deep red to orange, with ridge-like formations on their heads that signaled their military rank. The Zentari appeared almost mechanical, with sections of their gray bodies seeming to shift and reconfigure as they moved. A Vorani approached, his robes marking him as an elder. "Commander Harris, I am Ambassador Thexel. Welcome to the Galactic Council." Jack bowed slightly as instructed. "Thank you, Ambassador. Earth is honored to join the galactic community." Thexel guided them toward the central platform. Jack noticed how other species watched them, some with curiosity, others with what seemed like amusement. "The Council has existed for 12,000 years, Thexel explained. "We maintain peace and order across 27 sectors and over 400 worlds." "That's impressive," Jack said. "We have much to learn." "Yes, much indeed." Thexel's voice dropped lower. "Commander, I must speak honestly. There are concerns about humanity's inclusion." Jack frowned. "Concerns? We come in peace. So say all species at first." Thexel's large eyes studied Jack intently. "But humans show unusual patterns. Your adaptability exceeds normal parameters. Your problem-solving approaches are unpredictable. Your technological development curve is dangerously steep." Before Jack could respond, a Krell official approached. "Elder Thexel, frightening the newcomers already." His voice was rough, with a clicking undertone. "Pay no attention, Commander. The elders see danger everywhere." Other council members gathered around, and Jack noticed the dismissive looks they gave Thexel. "The Vorani elder believes humans might be the next galaxy enders," a Zentari official said, their voice coming from somewhere in their shifting body. "A primitive species that hasn't even established a colony beyond their own moon." Laughter rippled through the group. Jack felt his face warm, but maintained his diplomatic smile. Lieutenant Wells leaned closer to him. "Sir, they're laughing, but notice how the other Vorani elders are watching us. They're not amused." Jack nodded slightly. He had noticed too. Behind the mockery, he sensed real concern from the elders. The formal ceremony began. Jack and his small team stood as representatives of Earth while the Council voted on their status. The outcome wasn't what they had hoped for. "Earth is granted observer status only," announced the Krell High Commander. "Human expansion will be limited to your home system until a probationary period of 50 years is complete." Jack tried to hide his disappointment. "We had hoped for full membership and exploration rights. In time, perhaps," Thexel said softly. "For now, these restrictions are protective." As the ceremony ended, Thexel pulled Jack aside. "Commander, heed my warning. The Council fears what they do not understand, and they do not understand humanity. Tread carefully." Jack watched the elder walk away. Behind him, Wells approached. "What did he mean by that, sir?" Jack shook his head. "I'm not sure, but I get the feeling we're not being told everything." He looked around at the grand hall filled with beings who had dismissed humanity as primitive newcomers, and "I think they might regret underestimating us." As they returned to the Dauntless, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that humanity's journey among the stars had just become much more complicated than anyone back home had imagined. 5 years had passed since Earth's first contact with the Galactic Council. The initial excitement had faded into frustration. Captain Lisa Carter stood on the bridge of the UNSF Discovery, staring at the star map. Her ship was officially on a scientific mission, but everyone aboard knew their real purpose: to secretly map regions beyond Council space. "Captain, we're beyond the approved exploration zone," her navigator said quietly. "I'm aware, Jeff," Lisa replied. "Keep sensors at maximum range. We don't want company." The Discovery moved silently through the darkness. The Council's protective regulations had become chains, limiting human expansion and technology. Earth's leaders smiled publicly while secretly pushing against these restrictions. Lisa checked the data flowing across her screen. What they had found over the past month painted a disturbing picture: evidence of other young civilizations that had risen quickly, and then mysteriously disappeared after contact with the Council. "Captain, I'm picking up unusual readings from that dead system ahead," her science officer reported. "Proceed with caution," Lisa ordered. The Discovery approached a planet that showed signs of advanced civilization, now reduced to ruins. The scans indicated the destruction was less than a century old. "Record everything," Lisa said grimly. "Earth needs to see this." Across the solar system, on Europa, engineer Kevin Diaz worked in a facility hidden beneath the icy surface. The sign on the door claimed it was a water purification plant. It was actually a secret research lab. Kevin adjusted the control panel and watched as energy flowed into his prototype. The shield generator hummed to life, creating a barrier that shimmered faintly in the test chamber. "That's a 10% improvement," his assistant noted. Kevin nodded. "The Council would shut us down if they knew what we're building. Their technology restrictions don't allow defensive systems this advanced. The Krell destroyed that mining outpost last month. We need better defenses." Kevin stared at his creation. "This shield can withstand their weapons. I just need more time to perfect it." In orbit around Earth, Admiral Paul Wright reviewed reports in his office aboard Space Command headquarters. On his screen, a message from Commander Wells detailed the latest Council restrictions on human shipping. Wright sighed and activated his secure communication line. "How soon until the new ships are ready?" The voice that answered was cautious. 6 months for the first batch, sir. They'll have all the features we discussed, disguised as cargo vessels." "Good. Remember, absolute secrecy." Wright ended the call and looked out his window at Earth below. The public still believed the Council was benevolent. Only those with high clearance knew the truth. Humanity was being deliberately contained. In the diplomatic quarter of Geneva, Amy Foster walked quickly through the rain. The Council liaison office was nearly empty this late, perfect for what she needed to do. Amy slipped into her office and locked the door. She inserted a data chip into her terminal and began bypassing security protocols. After 3 months of careful work, she had finally gained access to classified Council records. The files were enormous. She searched for keywords: human, Earth, containment. Then a term caught her eye: the primal fear. She opened the file. "My God," she whispered as she read. "Ancient wars. Civilizations destroyed. A pattern of eliminating races that developed too quickly." Her screen suddenly flashed with an emergency alert. A Krell patrol vessel had destroyed a human mining outpost in the asteroid belt, claiming it violated territorial boundaries. 47 people dead. Amy downloaded what she could and erased her tracks. This information had to reach Admiral Wright immediately. The Council wasn't just restricting humanity. They were afraid of what humans might become. As she hurried through the dark streets, Amy thought about Ambassador Thexel's warning from 5 years ago. The old Vareni had tried to tell them. The other Council races had laughed at his concerns about humanity's dangerous adaptability. They weren't laughing now, but they were moving against Earth, slowly and systematically, and humanity was beginning to fight back. Jack Harris stood before the Galactic Council, his face stern. 5 years had changed him. Now an ambassador, his once friendly eyes had hardened after years of watching the Council tighten restrictions against Earth. 47 civilians. Workers. Not soldiers, Jack said, his voice echoing in the chamber. The Krell destroyed our mining outpost without warning. The Krell High Commander rose from his seat. The outpost violated our space. We sent 3 warnings. Lies, Jack replied. Our records show no warnings were sent. The attack was unprovoked. Murmurs filled the chamber. Jack noticed the division among council members. Some seemed troubled by the Krell actions, while others appeared unmoved. The council will investigate, the Zentari representative said. Until then, we advise Earth to respect established boundaries. Jack clenched his fists but maintained his diplomatic composure. Earth demands justice for this attack. As the session ended, Jack felt a light touch on his arm. Ambassador Thexel stood beside him, looking much older than 5 years ago. Walk with me, Ambassador Harris, Thexel said quietly. Not here. We must speak privately. Jack followed the elder Vorani to a small garden chamber far from the main hall. Thexel activated a device that hummed softly. Now we can speak freely. No one will hear us, Thexel said. What's happening, Thexel? The Council is squeezing Earth tighter every month. Now the Krell are killing our people. Thexel's large eyes looked sad. I must tell you what the Council has hidden for centuries. Please listen carefully. The old Vorani sat down slowly. 3 times before, young races rose quickly in the galaxy. Each time, they nearly destroyed the established order. What races? Jack asked. The names are forbidden to speak now, but they all shared traits with humans. Exceptional adaptability, aggressive problem-solving, rapid technological development. Thexel sighed. Each time, the Council eliminated them. Jack felt cold. Eliminated. Yes. When I first met you, I recognized the pattern. I'd warned the Council to guide humans rather than restrict them. I was outvoted. Thexel touched Jack's hand. The Council fears what it cannot control, and humans cannot be controlled like other species. So these restrictions were designed to keep you weak until a final solution could be implemented. Thexel looked away. I am breaking our highest laws by telling you this. Jack stood up, his mind racing. I need to warn Earth. You must hurry. The Krell attack was not isolated. It was the beginning. Across the station, Commander Samantha Wells moved quietly through the service corridors. Her intelligence role gave her access to communication systems. What she heard in the Krell transmission made her blood run cold. Containment operation authorized. Primary targets identified. Fleet deployment in 6 days. Wells needed to find Jack immediately. She spotted him hurrying toward the Earth shuttle bay with unusual speed. Ambassador, she called out. Jack turned, relief washing over his face. Sam, I was looking for you. We need to leave. Now. I know, I intercepted Krell communications. They're planning something big against Earth. They boarded their shuttle and rushed through departure procedures. As they cleared the station, Jack filled Wells in on what Thexel had revealed. So they've done this before, Wells said, her voice tight with anger. Eliminated entire species that developed too quickly. And we're next on their list. Jack opened a secure channel to Earth. We need to warn Admiral Wright immediately. The shuttle accelerated away from the station, pushing its engines to maximum. They were halfway to the jump point when sensors blared warnings. 3 Krell warships approaching, Wells reported. They're charging weapons. Evasive maneuvers, Jack shouted. We have to get this information to Earth. The shuttle rocked as the first shots hit their shields. Jack sent an emergency burst transmission toward Earth, hoping some part of their warning would get through. They're targeting our engines, Wells said, hands flying over controls. The next hit sent sparks flying across the bridge. Jack held on as the shuttle spun. Their mission was clear, survive long enough to warn Earth of what was coming. The emergency alarm blared through Space Command headquarters. Admiral Paul Wright rushed into the control room where officers huddled around communication screens. "Status report," Wright demanded. "Sir, we received a partial transmission from Ambassador Harris's shuttle," an officer replied. "It was cut off, but we got enough. The Council has authorized something called a containment operation against Earth." Wright's face hardened. "Meaning?" "They're coming to wipe us out, sir." Wright stood silent for a moment. The day he had feared had finally arrived. "How long do we have?" The message mentioned 6 days before fleet deployment. "But sir, we're also picking up unusual movement at all known Krell outposts near our system. They might be moving sooner." Wright activated the command console. "Initiate Defense Protocol Omega. I want all hidden fleet units activated immediately." He looked at his communications officer. "Send word to all Earth governments. The deception is over." Across the solar system, hidden military installations sprang to life. For 5 years, Earth had been secretly preparing, building ships and weapons beyond Council knowledge. It wouldn't be enough against the full might of the Galactic Council, but it would give them a fighting chance. In the outer reaches of the solar system, Captain Lisa Carter and her crew aboard the Discovery watched in horror as the first wave of Krell warships emerged from faster-than-light travel. "They're not waiting 6 days," Lisa said grimly. "They're starting now." She opened a channel to Earth. "This is Captain Carter of the Discovery. We have visual confirmation of Krell warships approaching the Kuiper Belt. At least 30 vessels, heavily armed." She studied her tactical display. "They're focusing on the outer colonies first." Lisa made a quick decision. "Set course to intercept. We need to slow them down and gather tactical data." "Captain," her first officer objected, "we're a science vessel. We're not equipped to fight Krell warships." "We're not going to fight them," Lisa replied. "We're going to observe them up close and transmit everything we see back to Earth. They need to know what they're facing." On Europa, alarms sounded through the hidden facility. Kevin Diaz looked up from his work as security officers rushed in. "Mr. Diaz, we have orders to deploy your shield systems immediately," the lead officer said, handing him a tablet with emergency authorization codes. Kevin scanned the orders. "These shields are still prototypes. We haven't finished testing. Earth is under attack. Admiral Wright has ordered all experimental defenses deployed. We have transport standing by to get you and your team to the Mars Defense Station." Kevin nodded and turned to his team. "Pack everything. If these shields are our only chance, we need to make them work." The first attacks came swiftly. Human outposts on Pluto and the outer moons fell within hours. The small defense forces stationed there fought bravely, but were overwhelmed by superior Krell firepower. In Geneva, Amy Foster worked frantically to send messages to the few Council allies she had cultivated. "The Krell are attacking Earth without full Council authorization," she wrote. "Elder Thexel was right about the pattern. Help us expose this illegal action." As the Krell fleet pushed toward Saturn, they encountered their first real resistance. Earth's hidden fleet emerged from bases on Titan and Enceladus, engaging the surprised Krell forces. Admiral Wright watched the battle data from his command center on Mars. "They expected us to be defenseless," he said to his officers. "They didn't know we've been preparing." The human ships were fewer but fought with unexpected tactics. Where Krell commanders followed traditional battle formations, human captains improvised, using the rings of Saturn for cover and executing maneuvers the Krell considered illogical. For 3 days, the battle raged around Saturn. The humans lost ground but inflicted significant damage. The Krell pressed forward, but more slowly now, more cautiously. As the enemy approached Mars, Wright received an unexpected message. A damaged shuttle had limped into the solar system, carrying Ambassador Harris and Commander Wells. "Get them here immediately," Wright ordered. The real battle for Earth was about to begin, and they would need every bit of intelligence Harris and Wells had gathered to have any chance of survival. 3 months into what people now call the Sol Defensive, Earth forces had surprised everyone, including themselves. Mars had become the front line, its orbit filled with the debris of both human and Krell ships. In a bunker deep beneath the Martian surface, Kevin Dias studied data from the latest battle. His shields had saved thousands of lives, but the Krell were adapting. "They've modified their weapons to pulse at a frequency that weakens our shields," Kevin told the gathered officers. "But that gives me an idea." He pulled up schematics on his tablet. "If we reverse the polarity and create rotating shield harmonics, we can not only block their weapons but absorb some of the energy." Admiral Wright nodded. "How soon can you implement this?" "Give me 48 hours, Kevin replied. In another section of the bunker, Dr. Nathan Bell moved between beds of injured soldiers. The medical bay was crowded but organized. Bell checked monitors and spoke quietly with his team. "The new combat stimulants are working," he told a nurse. "Recovery times are down 30%. Bell had been a civilian researcher before the war. Now his work focused on keeping soldiers alive. His latest development was a compound that enhanced human reflexes and accelerated healing. It wasn't a permanent solution, but it kept fighters in the battle when Earth needed every defender. In orbit around Jupiter, the UNSF Discovery hid within the massive planet's radiation belt. Captain Lisa Carter and her crew had spent weeks studying captured Krell technology. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to a diagram on her screen. "They're faster than light drives, use a different approach than ours. They're efficient but inflexible." Her engineer leaned closer. "They can't change course during an FTL jump." "Exactly," Lisa smiled. "And if we can detect when they're preparing to jump, we can predict exactly where they'll emerge." Lisa opened a channel to Mars Command. "Admiral, we found a weakness in Krell FTL technology. Sending data now." On Earth, Ambassador Jack Harris walked with a slight limp, a reminder of his narrow escape from the Krell. He entered a secure conference room where representatives from 7 minor council races waited. "Thank you for coming," Jack said. "By meeting with us, you're taking a great risk." A small bird-like alien spoke first. "The Krell claimed this was a limited police action. What we're seeing is full-scale war without council approval." "The 3 major powers have lied to all of us," Jack replied. "Elder Thexel tried to warn everyone, but they wouldn't listen." "The Varani elders have gone silent," another representative added. "Rumors say they're divided on this conflict." Jack nodded. "We need your help, not with fighting, but with information and diplomatic pressure." As Jack worked to build a coalition, Commander Samantha Wells led a special unit tasked with studying captured Krell technology. Her team had made remarkable progress. "The Krell weapons are powerful but predictable," she explained to her engineers. "They haven't significantly changed their design in over a century. They had no reason to innovate." Wells pointed to a modified human weapon. "We've incorporated elements of their technology into our own, but made it better." Her second-in-command smiled. "They expect us to fight with inferior weapons. They don't expect us to improve on their designs." In his command center, Admiral Wright reviewed reports from across the solar system. The Krell advance had stalled at Mars. Despite overwhelming numbers, they couldn't break through. "They fight like they've always fought," Wright told his staff. "Straight lines, predictable formations. When we don't respond as expected, they hesitate." A junior officer spoke up. "Sir, we've intercepted communications between the Krell and the Council. They're requesting reinforcements. They didn't expect such heavy resistance." Wright allowed himself a small smile. "The war is far from over, but we shocked them. They thought this would be easy." He looked at the tactical display, showing the positions of Earth forces throughout the system. Humanity was outgunned and outnumbered, but they were adapting faster than anyone thought possible, exactly as Elder Thexel had warned. "Send word to all commands," Wright said. "Hold your positions. Help is coming." 1 year into the war, humanity was ready to strike back. Operation Thunderstrike, the first major human offensive, launched at dawn Earth time. Colonel Greg Mason stood in the drop bay of the assault ship UNSF Valiant. Around him, 50 soldiers checked their gear. They wore the new adaptive battle suits developed from captured alien technology. "Remember your training," Mason told his troops. "These suits mimic Krell armor signatures. Their sensors will read you as friendly forces until you're inside their command station." The bay doors opened, revealing the massive Krell station orbiting Ceres. The asteroid had been captured early in the war and turned into a forward base. "For Earth," Mason said simply, and led the jump. The Special Forces team moved silently through space, their suits' propulsion systems leaving minimal energy signatures. The Krell defenses remained dormant as the humans approached. Mason's intel had been correct. The enemy couldn't tell them apart from their own patrol units. Across the solar system, other attacks began simultaneously. The UNSF Vengeance, commanded by Captain Lisa Carter, emerged from hiding in Neptune's atmosphere. Her ship now carried a revolutionary weapon based on her FTL drive discovery. "Target the Krell flagship," Lisa ordered. "Prepare the quantum disruptor." The weapon fired, sending a focused beam toward the Krell command vessel. Rather than causing physical damage, the beam disrupted the unique frequency the Krell used for their hive mind communications. Instantly, the coordinated Krell fleet fell into confusion. "All ships, advance now." Lisa commanded the human battle group. "Hit them while they can't coordinate." On Mars, Kevin Diaz watched from the control center as his latest creation was deployed. The quantum mirrors were simple in concept but revolutionary in practice. The small devices could reflect enemy weapons' fire back at their source. "Deploy mirrors at coordinates Alpha through Echo," Kevin said. As the Krell ships fired on the Martian defense grid, their shots hit the mirrors and bounced back. Several enemy vessels were hit by their own weapons, causing shock and confusion among their ranks. "It works," an operator shouted. "They're breaking formation." Kevin allowed himself a brief smile. "Redirect all human ships to target their exposed flanks." In Council space, Amy Foster had built an underground network that spanned a dozen worlds. Council citizens who questioned the war fed her information, which she relayed back to Earth. "My sources confirm the Zintari are pulling back support for the war," she told Admiral Wright over a secure channel. The Krell claimed this would be a quick operation. After a year with no victory, the Council is split. Wright nodded. "Good work. We need that political pressure to continue. Keep pushing the narrative that this war was never properly authorized." Amy's face grew serious. "There's more. The Varani elders have made a formal statement reminding the Council of their original warnings about human adaptability. They're using our resistance as proof they were right all along." "Are they calling for peace?" Wright asked. "Not exactly," Amy replied. "They're saying the threat is even greater than they feared, and that more resources should be committed to containing humanity." Wright frowned. "So we have allies and enemies among the Varani. Ambassador Harris believes Elder Thexel and his faction will support peace talks, but they're currently outnumbered." As they spoke, Mason's team breached the Krell command station. They moved swiftly through the corridors, eliminating resistance with quiet efficiency. "Command center secured," Mason reported. "Downloading their battle plans now." What they found was stunning. The Krell had been planning a second, larger invasion, bringing in forces from across their territory. But the plans also revealed something unexpected. The Krell were acting largely alone. The Council had not fully committed to this war. "Sir," Mason called Wright, "you need to see this. The Krell have been lying to the Council about their progress. They've been claiming they're close to victory, even as we push them back." Wright's eyes narrowed. "That changes everything. If we can prove the Krell have been manipulating the Council, we can drive a wedge between them," Mason finished. As the human forces reclaimed their first lost territory, a message arrived from Elder Thexel, secretly transmitted through Amy's network. "The Council begins to see what I warned them about. When humanity adapts, nothing remains the same. Colonel Greg Mason studied the data his team had recovered from the Krell command station. His face grew grim as he understood what he was seeing. "Admiral, we have a serious problem," Mason said over the secure channel to Wright. "The Krell are building a super weapon in their home system, something called the Purifier." Wright leaned closer to his screen. "What does it do?" "According to these specs, it can destabilize a star. They're planning to use it on our sun if they can't defeat us conventionally." Silence filled the command room. Then Wright spoke, his voice steady. "How close are they to completion?" 2 months, maybe less. Wright activated the station-wide comm. "Captain Carter, report to command immediately." When Lisa arrived, Wright showed her the plans for the Krell superweapon. She studied them carefully, her mind already working on solutions. "We can't let them finish it," she said, "and we can't wait for them to bring it here." "You're thinking what I'm thinking," Wright replied. Lisa nodded. "We need to take the fight to them. Deep strike into Krell space." "Can the Vengeance handle it?" Wright asked. "With the new drive modifications, yes. We can slip past their defenses using the FTL weakness we discovered. But this won't be a hit-and-run mission. We'll need to land a team to destroy the weapon from inside." Mason stepped forward. "My team is ready. We've been inside their stations before. We know how they think, how they move." Within days, the mission was prepared. The UNSF Vengeance, now Earth's most advanced warship, would carry Mason's Special Forces team to the Krell home system. Their objective: destroy the Purifier before it could be used against Earth. As preparations continued, Ambassador Jack Harris received an unexpected message. The Vorani had requested a private meeting. In a neutral space station at the edge of the solar system, Harris met with a delegation of Vorani elders, led by Thexel. "The council is fracturing," Thexel said, his voice weak. The elder alien looked much older than when Harris had first met him. "The Zentari have formally withdrawn from the conflict." "That's good news," Harris replied. Thexel shook his head slowly. "The Krell grow desperate. They see their advantage slipping away. Desperate enemies are dangerous." "We've discovered their superweapon," Harris said. "We're moving to destroy it." Thexel's large eyes widened. "You've found the Purifier, and you're attacking their home system." The elder seemed shocked. "No species has successfully invaded Krell space in 9,000 years. We don't plan to invade," Harris explained. "Just a surgical strike." "Even so," Thexel trailed off. "You must understand what this means. If you succeed, you will have done what the combined might of the Council never could." As they spoke, Dr. Nathan Bell made a breakthrough in his laboratory on Earth. For months, he had studied Vorani biology, particularly their telepathic abilities. Now he had developed a device that could temporarily block those abilities. "It creates a specific electromagnetic field," Bell explained to Admiral Wright over video link. "The Vorani telepathy can't function within it." Wright understood the implications immediately. "So if the Vorani try to read our minds during negotiations, we can prevent it," Bell finished. "We'll know if we're getting honest terms." As the Vengeance prepared to depart for Krell space, Captain Lisa Carter addressed her crew. "What we're about to do has never been attempted. We'll be deep in enemy territory with no backup. But if we succeed, we save Earth." In the launch bay, Mason checked his team's equipment one last time. The battle suits had been enhanced again, now capable of temporarily mimicking any of the 3 main council races. "Remember," he told his soldiers, "the Krell fight by the book. We don't. That's our advantage." As the Vengeance slipped into FTL, a message arrived at Earth's defense headquarters. The Krell had proposed separate peace negotiations, trying to bypass the Council entirely. Admiral Wright smiled grimly when he heard the news. "They're scared," he told his staff. "They see what's happening. The tide has turned." In the council chamber, Elder Thexel addressed his fellow members. "I warned you about underestimating humanity's adaptability. Now they're taking the battle to the Krull themselves. He looked around at the shocked faces. The balance of power in our galaxy is changing forever. 2 years after the first Krull attack, representatives from across the galaxy gathered at Armstrong Base on Earth's moon. The Treaty of Armstrong would reshape galactic politics forever. Admiral Wright stood at the observation window, looking at Earth shining blue and white against the blackness of space. The planet bore scars from the war, but it had survived. "Hard to believe it's finally over," Jack Harris said, joining him. Wright nodded, thanks to Captain Carter and Colonel Mason. Their mission to destroy the Purifier changed everything. The mission had become legendary. The Vengeance had slipped undetected into the heart of Krull space, using the FTL weakness Lisa Carter had discovered. Mason's team had infiltrated the superweapon facility, planted their charges, and escaped just as the massive structure collapsed in on itself. The loss of the Purifier had broken the Krull's will to fight. Within days, they had requested peace talks. "The Council representatives are ready," an aide announced. In the main conference hall, the atmosphere was tense but hopeful. The Vorani elders sat on one side, led by Thexel. The Zintari representatives kept their distance from the Krull, who appeared diminished, their once proud postures now subdued. "We welcome you to Earth space," Harris began. "Today we forge a new path forward." The terms of the treaty were clear. Humanity would receive full membership in a restructured galactic council with equal voting rights. The Krull would face restrictions similar to what they had tried to impose on humans. "Your species has earned its place," Elder Thexel said, his voice carrying through the hall, though not in the way any of us expected. As the treaty was signed, Kevin Diaz met with scientists from several council races. His shield technology and quantum mirrors had sparked intense interest. "The applications go beyond defense," he explained to the gathered aliens. "Think about faster travel, safer colonies, better communication." The Zintari were particularly impressed. "You developed in 2 years what took us centuries," one of them said. Kevin smiled. "That's what humans do. We adapt." Dr. Nathan Bell had also gained attention. His medical breakthroughs during the war had saved countless lives. Now council races were asking about human healing techniques. "We should establish a multi-species medical research center," Bell suggested to a group of alien doctors. "Share knowledge, solve problems together." Across the hall, Colonel Mason discussed security with representatives from the smaller council races. They had suffered under the dominance of the 3 major powers and saw an opportunity for change. "We need a new peacekeeping force," Mason proposed. "Not controlled by any single species. Fair representation for all." "Would you lead it?" asked a small green alien from a world that had been neutral during the conflict. Mason considered the offer. Initially, perhaps, but with the goal of shared leadership. Outside the conference hall, Amy Foster met with her network of allies who had helped from within council space. Some had risked everything to pass information to Earth. "You turned the tide," she told them. "You showed the galaxy that cooperation is stronger than domination." As the negotiations continued, Jack Harris found Elder Thexel alone in a quiet corner of the base. "I wanted to thank you," Jack said. "Your warning gave us time to prepare." Thexel's ancient eyes studied Jack's face. "I failed to convince the council. They had to learn the hard way." "They're learning now," Jack replied. "The new council chamber will include a memorial wall. Your original warning will be inscribed there. They adapt, they overcome, they redefine the battlefield itself." Thexel made a gesture that Jack had learned was a Vorani smile. From mourning to prophecy. As the final documents were signed, Captain Lisa Carter prepared for her next mission. The Vengeance would lead an expedition with ships from several council races to find other emerging civilizations. "This time, we'll welcome them properly," she told her crew. "No restrictions, no fear." Admiral Wright looked out at the assembled representatives of dozens of worlds. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged stronger, not just surviving, but reshaping galactic society. 2 years ago. They laughed at the Elders' warnings. Wright said quietly to Harris, "Now humanity owns the battlefield. Not through conquest, but by proving we can fight when needed and make peace when possible." Harris nodded. "That's our real strength. Not just adapting to win wars, but adapting to build something better after." As the ceremony ended, the new Galactic Council took its first steps into a future where humanity would help guide the stars.